Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals is a memorandum authored by the Obama administration on June 15, 2012. It was implemented by the Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security, Janet Napolitano. It directs U.S. Customs and Border Protection, U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, and U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement to practice prosecutorial discretion towards some individuals who immigrated to the United States as children and are currently in the country illegally. A grant of deferred removal action does not confer lawful immigration status, alter an individual unregistered trademark's existing immigration status, or provide a path to citizenship. Deferred Action, U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services. The USCIS should establish a clear and efficient process for exercising prosecutorial discretion, on an individual basis by deferring action against individuals who meet the criteria and are at least 15 years old, for a period of 2 years to be granted employment authorization, subject to renewal, to prevent low-priority individuals from being placed into removal proceedings or removed from the United States. ICE is instructed to use its Office of the Public Advocate to permit individuals who believe they meet the above criteria to identify themselves through a clear and efficient process. ICE is also instructed to immediately begin the process of deferring action against individuals who meet the above criteria whose cases have already been identified through the ongoing review of pending cases before the Executive Office for Immigration Review. The creation of this policy came after the failed attempt to pass the DREAM Act, a bill that would have granted conditional permanent residency to qualifying undocumented immigrant students and those serving in the military. After the success of passing DACA came the demanding process. Those who are chosen are picked on a case-by-case basis. The main relief for these beneficiaries is the 2-year deportation reprieve they receive. Mostly applicants who require economic relief receive work authorization. Though this application can be renewed, it is still not known how long it will be in effect, and it is only given in 2-year increments. DACA does not by any means provide citizenship to young undocumented people. Application. On August 15, 2012, the USCIS released the forms necessary to apply for DACA. Individuals are not required to have legal representation to apply, and may submit the forms directly to the USCIS. The application fee is $465. Forms required to apply: Form I-821D, Application for Deferred Action for Childhood Arrival, Form I-765, Application for Employment Authorization, Form I-765WS Worksheet for Application for Employment Authorization, Application fee, $465, Supporting documentation. The USCIS requires documentation that establishes physical presence and continuous residence in the United States. A number of documents are accepted, including proof of identity, passport or national identity document from your country of origin, birth certificate with photo identification, school or military identification with photo, any U.S. government immigration document or other document bearing your name and photo. Proof you came to the U.S. before your 16th birthday, passport with admission stamp. Form I-94 I-94W. School records from the U.S. schools you have attended. Any Immigration and Naturalization Services or DHS document stating your date of entry, Form I-862, Notice to Appear. Travel records. Hospital or medical records. Proof of immigration status. Form I-94 I-94W with authorized stay expiration date. Final order of exclusion, deportation, or removal issued as of June 15, 2012. A charging documentation placing you into removal proceedings. Proof you continuously resided in the U.S. since June 15, 2007, employment records. School records, military records, official records from a religious entity confirming participation in a religious ceremony, birth certificate of USC children, deeds, mortgages, rental agreement contracts, proof of your student status at the time of requesting consideration of deferred action for childhood arrivals, school records from the school that you are currently attending in the United States showing the name, S, of the school, S, and periods of school attendance and the current educational or grade level, U.S. high school diploma or certificate of completion, U.S. GED certificate. Politics, Republican response. Nearly all Republicans in the House of Representatives voted 224-201 to defund DACA in June 2013. Lead author of the amendment Representative Steve King explained, "The point here is, the president does not have the authority to waive immigration law, nor does he have the authority to create it out of thin air, and he's done both with these Morton memos in this respect." Although politicians are divided on illegal immigration issues related to DACA, presidential candidate Mitt Romney stated that he would honor the grants of deferred action approved under DACA until a more permanent legislation was put into place. State-level government officials are also divided on the issue. Although they can't change the existing DACA program, governors are able to legislate the state benefits available to individuals under deferred action. State-level legislation. Not all states have made a stance for or against DACA. Many governors are waiting for more statistics that reveal how many applicants actually qualified for deferred action before they adjust existing legislation. However, some states, especially the border states, have already announced changes. California. To assist those eligible under the program, the state of California has agreed to support those who receive a DACA grant by allowing access to a state driver's license, provided that such individuals participate in specific state guidelines. Arizona. Arizona became the first state to oppose President Obama's order for DACA when Governor Jan Brewer issued a counter-order that prevents those with deferred status from receiving any state benefits. This has caused some controversy, as eligible and approved applicants would still be unable to obtain a driver's license. Maryland. Baltimore's Mayor Stephanie Rawlings Blake has chosen to open the city's doors to undocumented immigrants to boost its dwindling population. The city boasts an executive order prohibiting officials from questioning an individual's immigration status, especially with regard to Maryland's DREAM Act, which grants in-state tuition rates to any student who graduates from a Maryland high school and comes from a family who has paid taxes. Illinois. In a New York Times interview, Mayor Rahm Emanuel of Chicago stated that he wants to make Chicago the most immigrant-friendly city in the country. In addition to offering in-state tuition for undocumented immigrants, he has also made plans for an ordinance that would prevent undocumented immigrants with no criminal background from being turned over to immigration enforcement agencies. Texas. Although in-state tuition is still offered, Governor Rick Perry announced his opposition to DACA by distributing a letter to all state agencies, meant to ensure that all Texas agencies understand that Secretary Napolitano's guidelines confer absolutely no legal status whatsoever to any illegal alien who qualifies for the federal deferred action designation. Nebraska. State Governor Dave Heineman also joined in the opposition against DACA, confirming that the state will continue its practice of not issuing driver's licenses, welfare benefits, or other public benefits to illegal immigrants regardless of deferred status. Massachusetts. The governor has not yet made any large changes regarding their policy towards undocumented immigrants. However, the state's Hampshire College announced a scholarship that pays tuition for one undocumented immigrant every 4 years. Michigan. In October 2012, the Michigan Secretary of State, Ruth Johnson, announced that Michigan will not issue driver's licenses or state identification of any kind to beneficiaries of deferred action for childhood arrivals. In making this decision, it was clear that the Secretary of State erroneously conflated the notion of lawful presence, which is required under Michigan law to issue a driver's license, and lawful status, a different legal concept entirely. USCIS has made it clear that DACA beneficiaries do not possess legal status, but does not state that DACA beneficiaries are unlawfully present, and in fact, states that DACA beneficiaries will not accrue unlawful presence time here while they are in this deferred action status. The Secretary of State relied upon USCIS' own explanation, which discusses legal status, not lawful presence. In response to this policy, the ACLU filed a lawsuit against Secretary Johnson alleging that his policy violated both Michigan law and the U.S. Constitution. On January 18, 2013, USCIS updated their frequently asked questions about DACA, clarifying, among other things, that DACA beneficiaries are, in fact, lawfully present in the United States. On February 1, 2013, Secretary Ruth Johnson reversed her policy and began issuing driver's licenses to DACA beneficiaries on February 19, 2013. North Carolina briefly suspended giving out driver's licenses to DACA grantees while waiting for the state attorney general unregistered trademark's opinion. The Attorney General decided that even without formal immigration status the DACA grantees were to be granted legal presence. After that, the state once again continued to give out driver's licenses and allowed the DACA grantees to become legal members of North Carolina. Virginia. On April 29, 2013, the Virginia Attorney General, Mark Herring, sent a letter to the State Council of Higher Education for Virginia, the presidents of Virginia Public Colleges and Universities and the Chancellor of the Virginia Community College System. The Attorney General advises these institutions that under Virginia law, DACA students are eligible for in-state tuition provided they meet Virginia's domicile requirements. References. External links: The Economist. Out of the Shadows, A First Step to Make Young Illegal Immigrants Welcome, U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services. Consideration of Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals Process, U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services. USCIS, Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, the White House. Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, who can be considered? Department of Homeland Security. U.S. Department of Homeland Security, Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services. DHS outlines Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals Process, American Immigration Council. Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, AQ&A Guide, Deferred Action Document Checklist. DACA Eligibility Calculator.